Introducing Chat and Chew's Healthimonials. Join us in opening the gift of health.
Welcome, Lynne. We are so excited to have you with us here today. This is the star, a McDougall star from the Dr. McDougall website. She was interviewed back in 2014 by Dr. McDougall. Is that right, Lynne?
That's right.
2014? And
yes, January 2014.
Because she just did something so exciting. She's come back today to tell us about what has happened since, but also to review what started first. So watch for her on our YouTube page, both back then and today. Lynne, what's your story?
The beginning was that I was 71 years old. I had been vegetarian for 2 years, and I was still having neuropathy in my feet. And I really didn't, no one ever said this could possibly be diabetes. But it was getting so bad. And one night, because when you're up with your feet burning in the middle of the night and all the different things that go on with this, you turn on the TV and there were all these ads for diabetic foot pain. And I thought, gee, could I be diabetic? So I not only went to Google it, but I realized that I needed to do something more than that. And I checked in with my doctor and I got a permission to have a complete diabetic fasting test and all of the stuff that goes with it. And I was shocked because my glucose at that time was 120, but my A1C was 7.8, both of them definitely pre-diabetic. So the very next day, I gave up cheese and I gave up every other kind of dairy. And people always go, oh my God, that would be so hard. I could never give up cheese. Well, it wasn't that I had a little bit of cheese every day. I had been eating cheese while I was fixing dinner every night, cheese and crackers and, fixing dinner at the same time. Now I have an apple, but that's an aside. I found that it was easy when my feet started feeling better very quickly. Within 3 weeks, I wasn't having those problems. But one of the other things that had happened was that in the first 10 days of giving up dairy and eggs, I lost 1 pound a day. And I thought, oh, this is great, until I'd lost 10 pounds and thought, I can't keep losing 1 pound a day. And I talked to Kathy. We've always shared our journeys, and she suggested I look at Dr. McDougall. And starches, oh boy, I could eat starches. Now, we're not talking about sweet potatoes with lots of butter and brown sugar. We're just talking about good old sweet potatoes. And, sometimes I put salsa on it. I mean, it's just whatever I felt like. And I've always been one to empty my vegetable bin and start making soups and things, and did more and more of that. And of course, I cut out oil at that time. So I was not cooking anything with oil. You can saute with water or with tomato juice just as easily as you can with oil, and it's much healthier for you. So given all these things, I went on from 2000. I went to Dr. McDougall's class with Kathy, and we were able to take a test. And they did a blood test, and I thought, well, they're not going to see a big change, but at least I'll get some piece of information for along the way. And lo and behold, my glucose was 88, from 120 to 88 in about 3.5 months. And my A1C was 4.8. That was a 3-point drop. And it was just amazing because I knew I felt good. I knew at 72 now I felt better than I did at 65. So this was the beginning of my journey, and I continued with it. And I kept it steady for how many years? Till 2022 or till 2021. So what happened in 2021? We got through 2020 really easily. When I was cooking for myself at home, it was great. But 2021, my husband had an accident and he was immobilized for several months and needed 24/7 care. And during that time, our wonderful friends brought in chicken soup and all kinds of meals for him. And it was like, oh, I'm going to have this with him because I just too tired to do anything else, and didn't seem to make much of a difference. But I continued to be a plant-based person, but would have these things from time to time. Then I started bringing in food that was prepared and having takeout. Well, while I could still order vegetarian or vegan food from takeout places, they always used oil. And that started creeping up on me. And those fats must have been getting into each of my little cells, to the point that my feet started hurting again. And they were red, almost purple. They were swollen so that it was easier to go barefoot than try to put my foot in a shoe. And I thought, oh dear, I know what I've done. I have eaten myself back into being pre-diabetic. So I went in, and lo and behold, my glucose was higher than it had been in 2013. It was 128. My A1C was 6.1. So I had eaten myself back into being pre-diabetic. Some people would say diabetic. And I was feeling it. Now, I'm one of the lucky ones. I discovered Neal Barnard's research early on, and that's what led me to giving up dairy and eggs. I am one whose body responds fairly quickly within a few months or even weeks, that I can feel the difference when I'm eating incorrectly. So I had realized that I had done an experiment that I would have done as a behavioral psychologist with some kind of behavior that we had changed someone with. I would have made them go back to doing it the way they used to show that that was what made the difference in whatever we were working on. So I had done a reversal on my own without really being cognizant of it. So I had reversed that variable, which was the way I ate. And I was able to reverse it back again, so that today, this past couple of days, I took another fasting test, and my glucose is 90, and my A1C is 5. And I've shown that you can actually take, you don't want to do this very often. You don't want to do it more than once. In fact, I would have preferred not to do it at all, because it was horrible to feel bad again. But I can say that now I'm 80 and I feel just as good as I did at 65. I'm very active. I play golf every week. I'm a docent at a marine biology museum. And I'm just out doing things all the time, including my photography. So you're cheating yourself if you cheat. You're not cheating anybody else. You're cheating yourself.
Wow, that's really powerful. You are cheating yourself when you backtrack, and you saw it firsthand. That's amazing. Now let me review. You did it the first time in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
You started. And by 2014, you already saw some results, a lot of results. And those results were you lost weight, your blood pressure went down. Is that correct?
Oh, yes. And yes, I no longer needed any blood pressure medication. So yes, that was another side effect. I had lost weight as a vegetarian in 2 years of being vegetarian. I had lost about 10 pounds, but to lose 10 pounds in 10 days was, whoa.
And you got to go back to eating your starches.
Yes.
And your feet got better. And I remember when you had that foot problem. Oh, you were miserable. You were miserable.
Right. I couldn't play golf. I couldn't walk that far or even get out of a cart and hit without just being in terrible pain by the first few holes. So, and it was hard getting out and doing the photography that I love to do, traveling and being out in the wild was just really difficult. And it was wonderful to have this new lease on life and be starting all over again. And I guess I'm starting over again at 80 because I had that relapse last year. But
well, for somebody who's aging, you forgot to tell yourself you're reverse aging. You look as good and better than you did when you were 72. So that's another one of those results that you got.
Well, thank you. I don't see that because I get close in the mirror and see those wrinkles, but
we look great on Zoom. Okay, Jolene, we really appreciate you sharing this. Can you think of anything else that we need to be sure and tell our audience?
Well, I'm going to say that we really need to listen to all of these people who've done the research, because it all boils down to the same thing. You know, it's a plant-based, oil-free diet that makes the difference in your lives. And Barnard got me started. McDougall pushed me along, but I've taken classes from Dr. Campbell, and I had the pleasure of actually meeting him. And I don't fear any cancer either. You know, it's been long enough that I've been eating well that I don't fear those kinds of things. I also think that it's wonderful for the planet. And when I look at the carbon footprint from beef and cattle, and dairy cattle, and from hogs, I realize that being a vegetarian or a vegan is better than driving an electric car, but I do both. I want to leave as small a footprint as I can for future generations and try to make safe ways. Let's see. Then I am going to say that at the time I started, Dr. Barnard's ideas were just beginning to be accepted by the medical community, but they really weren't. And Grigor says that it takes 10 years for the medical community to catch up with science. Well, I'm happy to say that recently I saw where Barnard's diet for diabetics is the American Diabetic Association's one of the top 3 diets that they recommend. So things are catching up for us.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for all that information and your personal experience, because there's nothing better than watching somebody who can actually do it and prove it to us what the science says.
Right.
You, Lynne.
Take it seriously.
Thanks a bunch.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.